Welcome back, race fans, to the Metro Ford Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League. We're at the improved Atlanta Motor Speedway, where we've got another great race ahead of you. As always, I'm your host with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Breathe the action, 1080p, 60 frames a second. And as always, thank you to our sponsors, Metro Ford Cup Series, Kimball.net, Victor Lane Sports, as well as Dr. Amy, the Thyroid Fixer. Looking forward to another great evening here of racing, as right now single car qualifying is underway as we check in on Brian Lynch, the number 9 machine. As right now it's Michael Watts in the 84 Ford Mustang sitting on top of pole. And a pretty healthy grid coming out tonight. One of the bigger grids I've seen in the last few weeks with the holiday season. So looking forward to seeing how this one's going to pan out. Some more great racing amongst the guys. And as always, let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on out there in the spectator area. The drivers appreciate it, as they will usually be listening to this on a separate device. And if not, they just about always go back and watch it out after the completion of the race. We've got 150 laps scheduled here tonight. And a lot of drivers and a lot of fans keep an eye on Steve Thompson. The number 67 machine hasn't went out for qualifying yet, but trying to make it back-to-back wins here this evening. Lynch improves in his qualifying at 10th place with a 31.86, but look at this, Al Turner was in the top spot. The 76 machine at 31.74, narrowly edging out Michael Watts in what is effectively a new super speedway on the schedule this season. Dan Hill, the number 10, climbs to the top at 31.7, really improving on his previous time, edging out Turner and Watts by 0.04 of a second. But look how tight qualifying is so far. Well, let's see what Lloyd Moore is going to be able to do on his first time lap in the 26 machine. Looks like Brian Glass, Tom Ogle also rolling out. 1 3-digit driver here today. It's going to be Joe Nelson, the 106 Chevrolet. He will not be able to do a qualifying time since he is a rookie driver here for the Metro Ford Cup Series. Moore with a 31.94 his opening lap. He's got to find 2/10 here if he wants to be in the top row. What's it going to be? A 31.74. If it wasn't for Hill, that might have been good enough for pole position. Let's check in on Tom Liberace Ogle, see what he's going to do on his second time lap, dropping it way down low, making the track as small as possible. He did 32.33 the lap prior. It's going to be a 31.72. Right now it's going to be hard to touch Dan Hill in the top spot. As let's see who else is rolling out on track. I don't think anybody else is. We've got 17 drivers who went out for qualifying. And that may be it here. We've got about half the field, maybe a bit less, who hasn't went out yet for quali. Ryan Lindsay, Dwayne MacArthur, Jeff Lyden, Clay Walker, Michael McDonald, Steve Thompson, Joe Nelson, Bert Dodson, Dakota Pischke, Kevin Strandberg, Eddie Jones, Daryl Winninger, John Hastings have all yet to put down a qualifying time. Very interesting. Maybe with this more super speedway-esque style repave at Atlanta Motor Speedway, maybe guys are going to opt to start at the back and maybe watch some fast guys crash themselves out. I'm interested to see how this is going to pan out. Very rare we don't see that many drivers qualifying. The qualifying is going to officially wrap up here. And let's get ready to go racing at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. Starting on pole, Dan Hill, the number 10 machine. Tom Ogle starting second. Al Turner starts third. Lloyd Moore starting fourth. Michael Watts starting fifth. Robert Garisco starting sixth. John Hinchcliffe starts seventh. Joey Buscemi starting eighth. Brian Glass starts ninth. Dean Gear starting 10th. Tony Jennings starts 11th. Greg McDaniel starting 12th. Cycling it back to Chris Clark starting 13th. Jonathan Green starts 14th. Jeff Miller starting 15th. Brian Lynch starting 16th. Mike Schrader, starts 17th. Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, starting 18th. Kevin Strandberg starting 19th. Daryl Winninger starts 20th. Eddie Jones starts 21st. Clay Walker starting 22nd. Don Hastings starting 23rd. Michael McDonald starting 24th. Cycling it back to Jeff Lyden starts 25th. Dakota Pischke 26th. Steve Thompson starts 27th. Brian Lindsay starting 28th. Bert Dodson starts 29th. Joe Nelson starting 30th to round out the grid here tonight. Good to see Bert Dodson coming back out as well. Another great driver we haven't been able to see in a few weeks. And gonna be an interesting one here at Atlanta. Drivers were talking about how easy it is to make a little mistake, sending it bouncing back up into the field. Pace car is in, and we're going to wait for Hill and Ogle to hit the restart zone on that front row. Turner, Moore, your second row. Garisco, Watts, your third row. And let's go green flag racing here at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway for the Metro Ford Cup Series. Sponsored by eMetro4.com, Victory Lane Sports, Dr. Amy the Thyroid Fixer, as well as Kimball.net. Hill holds on to lead. Ogle tries to work the outside line. The field's going to be very bunched up here. Looks like about the top 12 drivers in a nice tight pack, while 13th place back opting to hang back a little bit, maybe to feel out the track and see how this run's going to develop. Right now, it's going to be Ogle takes the lead with the outside line. Lloyd Moore is going to try and follow. Looks like Robert Garisco in the 28 machine also going to try and get around Dan Hill, the number 10. And we're in for a good long night of pack racing, I would predict. As we hinted a little bit three-wide action for, not quite sure where he was going to go there. Everybody shuffling around to try and find a spot. Looks like that outside line is going to be the dominant place when you've got the draft support behind you. As look at Garisco, he's trying to make a move up towards the front. But now he's going to be side by side with Brian Glass, who's on the outside line. Outside line, definitely the dominant spot to be in. As things continue dicing around up front, Ogle has the lead, but Moore and Glass going side by side. Hinchcliffe, Hill, right behind. Now, I don't think fuel saving is going to be much of a concern, as it looks like these guys are pretty much just holding it wide around the new high banking. A little bit further back, Mike Schrader has the fastest lap of the race in that number 4 machine at the back of the draft in that Busch Light-backed Ford Mustang. He got down to a 30.15. As, it's getting very busy in front of him. Greg McDaniel, Michael Watts getting a little bit squirrely there. Everybody's swapping spots. Robert Orisco's falling back down the stands a bit in the 28 machine. Now, what you may see here with some of this pack racing is drivers may see what's going on and opt to say, you know what, let's back out of it a little bit and let these guys go elbow to elbow, as now Moore challenges to lead the 26 machine side by side with Ogle. But that top line definitely seems to be the dominant place to be. As there we go, Hill's going to fire back on the inside line. Lloyd Moore goes back to the high line to give his support to Ogle. As Hill's going to have Watts behind him, but man, that mid to high line seems to be the fastest way around for certain. Watts up the inside line. Will he be one of the first drivers to really make the inside groove work well for him here? As it looks like he will, with the support of Dan Hill tucked in behind him. We've also got the 87 of Brian Glass on the inside line. Oh, and we're going to go 3 wide up towards the front. Hill, Watts, Ogle, briefly 3 wide. I think Watts backed out of it there, wanting no part of that early on, only 10 laps in. And that'll give Hill just the slightest of breakaways with Brian Glass tucking in behind him. Now it's 150 laps, no fast repair, so if you wad up those race cars early on, you are done and out for the evening. Now it's going to look like Brian Glass going to try and charge through on the outside line to get a lap led. Now it is 14 drivers in this lead pack. You have to go further back to Dwayne MacArthur and Daryl Winninger running 15th and 16th. Kind of leading a second pack here. And I would imagine with how many fast guys we see on the standings towards the back, I think those are guys playing it safe and kind of expecting a big wreck to come out at least once here tonight. Again, in New Atlanta, a bit of a mini super speedway. It looked like the 26 of Moore may have tagged that outside wall there, slowing the run of the outside. Good to see nobody too gutsy to throw it in there. Really press the issue, because that's when things can get very, very bad very quickly. Drivers hitting speeds of around 180 to 190 miles an hour here today. And that may allow your top 5 drivers, Glass, Ogle, Watts, Green, and Hill, a bit of a breakaway. But no, it looks like Moore closes the gap rather quickly, as that's Hill and Green side by side. Number 26, Moore hops out of the groove on the apron to let these guys go by. That could end up being a very wise choice. Now it's going to be Glass, the 87 machine. He's up 8 spots to get a lap led. Ogle tucked in right behind him. Look like Green tags the wall. Let's see. Dan Hill's going to go down low. Hinchcliffe may follow. Those 16 laps in, we're already starting to see some bobbles out of the drivers. This may allow Glass, Ogle, and Watts to try and run away a little bit. I'll be surprised if we really see that many breakaways with how strong the draft is here today. Glass might have gotten loose out of 2 there. Holds on to it, chasing it down the track, but that's going to give the lead back to Ogle. With Watts, Hill, and Hinchcliffe in hot pursuit. Now everybody here is on the same setups. So a very equal field out here. It's just all about talent and who can drive the best. Now we did get some good notes from the drivers coming into tonight as more drivers start tagging the wall. What's going on here? It's going to be Robert Garisco showing involved in an incident. Jonathan Green also showing involved. Let's take a look and see what happened to Garisco in the 28 machine. Oh, he got a little bit of help there, trying to see who that was. Oh, that's a big one. Green gets absolutely pulverized. Is that Tony Jennings? No. Trying to see who was involved in that one. It looked like a 35, but watch that one once more, see if I can get a different angle on. The 56 is who it was, Joey Buscemi. Edges into Garisco. I can't tell if Garisco came down, but regardless, that's going to collect 3 good drivers. Garisco, Green, as well as I believe Buscemi is going to have some heavy damage on that one. So it looks like everybody's going to come down pit road on lap 20. And it looks like I'm seeing most drivers taking a full set of tires as well during that pit stop. I was expecting, or kind of interested to see if maybe somebody was going to go for a 2-tire stop to try and get the position, but so far everybody I'm seeing rolling out of pit road took 4 fresh Goodyears, a full tank of gas. And the first crash of the evening, 20 laps in out of 150 laps here today. as the smoke still lingering in the air at Atlanta. So it looks like Arisco and Green still in pit road. Hastings might have come down maybe a second time. We got Ryan Perkins showing us in the spectator area, supporting the broadcast and the racers. Good to see him. As we get them gridded up double file once more. And away they go. Ogle, Watt still up front. Hinchcliffe, Hill, Glass round out the top five, but they're going to be jockeying for position, trying to get settled into a groove. And again, the high line seemed dominant, and as always, cautions tend to breed caution. As the field gets stacked back up, let's see how this is going to pan out. Glass pulls out of it, going down to the apron. No, coming down pit road. Brian Glass had some sort of issue. That's going to leave Ogle, Hinchcliffe, Hill, Schrader, and Watts your top five. Watts in the inside line, trying to slide back up behind Mike Schrader's number 4 machine. The field, for the most part, going single file here. One of that maybe put a little bit of fear in the drivers with that first early caution, realizing how easy it is to be sent back to the virtual hauler early on. Ogle continues the charge in the white clawback number 11 machine. I think he's got a new hood graphic on that machine as well. We're going to try and get a link or a look later and see what that new graphic entails. As we're on board with Tom Ogle, the number 11 machine. Looking to keep charging out front. You can hear just how rough it is out in that car. Now Ogle currently third in points for this championship. Wayne MacArthur, Eddie Jones sitting in front of him in points, first and second. Out on track, MacArthur back in 7th. And Eddie Jones currently finds himself in a battle for 16th, so this could be a good points night for Ogle. If he can just keep clicking off laps, bring home a clean race car by the time it's all said and done, which is, to be fair, easier than said and done. He's got Hinchcliffe and Hill linked up nose to tail right behind him. I'm hesitant to say. Then maybe things have calmed down a little bit. As Ogle and Hinchcliffe linked up, still Ogle getting a hearty push on the number 8 machine. Hill, the number 10, qualified on pole and has third, I think. Not wanting to maybe press the issue too much here. As we go a little bit further back to the second pack, led by Kevin Strandberg. This is from 10th place and back. They're about 3.7 seconds away from Brian Lynch running 9. I can't stress enough, I think this is going to be a large portion of the drivers just kind of taking it easy, getting through fuel runs, and not want to put those cars in a precarious position. The number 24 machine, who is up 18 positions now into 10th, is going to be leading this second pack. He'll be pushed by Steve Thompson's last week's leader at 67. And it looks like they're doing a good job closing the gap, now down to 3.5 seconds to Brian Lynch in that lead pack. Kind of backtracking before we had that first caution interrupt the flow here. Talked to the drivers before today's big race, and they're expecting about 50 to 65 laps of fuel. And a lot of the drivers stating the car doesn't seem to handle well about 30 laps into a fuel run, so halfway through the run, doing some quick math is when it gets a little bit tougher for the guys. Check in back up front with Tom Ogle, John Hinchcliffe. As it's interesting to me, these top 9 drivers running pretty much single file have extended their gap from 10th place back. Now Lindsay finds himself about 4.6 seconds back from Brian Lynch in 9th. Joe Nelson coming down pit road by his folks in the 106 machine, the rookie driver. Not sure if he had a mechanical or what the issue may be. Ogle still clicking off laps. Brian Lindsay closing the gap slightly to 4.2 seconds. I'm interested to see how this is going to pan out here. Will these drivers with a much bigger line behind them, if they can tuck in single file, will they be able to catch up to the lead, working a bigger draft? Or are they going to really need those outside guys to maybe make some exciting moves? Because up front, it looks like Ogle and Hinchcliffe have about a 4/10 breakaway from Schrader, Hill, Watts, Turner, MacArthur, Gear, Lynch. Those are all the drivers inside that top 9 pack that are getting that breakaway. And these guys should be able to go a very long time before they have to come down pit road, barring any sort of cautions. We're expecting the fuel window to open up around lap 78 to 80 for these drivers. Now, last week at Kentucky, Ogle didn't have the luck he was really looking for in that number 11 machine. He qualified second, but ended up finishing 14th after running 149 laps, so involved in some late race heartbreak for the number 11 driver. So he's really looking to capitalize here today to keep charging forward. And it looks to me like this top pack, if they can keep single file, they're still extending the gap on the rest of the field. 9, now 5 seconds up, over 10th place back. So the top 9 making it happen here, and it's going to be interesting to see how this one pans out. Now, that being said, if we do have a caution mid to late race, it's going to kind of throw away all the work the drivers have done. But if we can go green, and I know that's a big if for the drivers, may be able to keep charging forward here. As we go on board with John Hinchcliffe, number 8 machine. They are about 30 laps in on this fuel run. It's where the drivers were complaining the cars get a lot tougher to handle for them. Working his way right onto the bumper of Ogle. Now, these guys aren't going to bump draft and push too aggressively here. Still fairly early on, only a third of the way through this race. And how will this affect fuel strategy for Ogle if we do continue running clean and green? As he will be pushing a little bit more air. especially John Hinchcliffe, who's been able to tuck in right behind that number 11 machine. Now it looks like Dan Hill's starting to pressure up a little bit further as well. The number 10 machine took a brief hiatus. Coming back strong here at Atlanta, qualified in that top spot, and still 5th in points despite all things. So good to see him back after that couple-week break following Nashville. Now something happened to Al Turner in the 76 machine. Let's see what happened to Turner as he started rapidly falling towards the back here. Wonder if he got involved in an incident. We're waiting to see what happened to the 76. Might have missed it there. Hold on, let's back up a little bit. Turner gets all sorts of loose. Oh, it hits the outside wall pretty hard, so Turner's going to come down pit road by himself. And where did this come from? Dwayne MacArthur has joined the party up front. The number 83 machine showing up 16 spots, challenging longtime rival Tom Ogle for the lead. As they go side by side, 2 wide, 2 deep here. It's Ogle and MacArthur on the front row, Hinchcliffe and Watts your second row. They'll have a little bit of traffic ahead of them here. As now it is a top 6 breakaway. Mike Trader has pulled about a second gap over here in the 92 machine. I think MacArthur may have got the lap led there as something happened. Ogle checks up hard. Oh, maybe because of traffic. Not wanting to throw it in there. That was number 53 machine of Jennings, who just got swallowed up by the field, and that's going to give Dwayne MacArthur a comfortable lead. What's going on up front? MacArthur trying to get around. I think that's Brian Glass, the 87 machine. Yes, it is. Not having any luck with it. A surprisingly narrow track here at Atlanta. And that's going to put Ogle back in striking distance of the 83 machine. It is getting hectic, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Nelson rolls out of pit road after 10 minutes getting repairs done on the 106. And we've still got about 20 laps left to go before we think the fuel window is going to open up for these drivers. Glass showing 1 lap down, 2 laps down from the race leaders here. Gonna keep rocking and rolling out front. It's gonna be interesting to see how this stacks up behind him because Ogle, Hill, Watts, Drader, all right here in the fray. As it looks like Ogle willing to challenge for the lead, throwing it up the inside line against MacArthur. MacArthur running the faster high line, and he's also got the draft of Brian Glass to help him out. Ogle, almost hits him with his slide job. Not quite able to clear it against MacArthur's 83 machine. And the only thing that's going to shuffle up is Watson. Hill will take over to second and third place. Ogle drops back to fourth. The good part about this new Atlanta is if you make that little bobble, if you can stay in the draft, your race is not over as long as the car is still clean. But MacArthur holding on the lead here. Watts, Hill right behind. And so far, this is some fantastic pack racing amongst the guys. Really rolling around really fast speeds of 190 miles an hour. You're on board with Ogle. Checks up a little bit to avoid tagging the back of Dan Hill. Number 87 machine of Brian Glass getting his support from the fans, saying hopefully he gets back on the lead lap. The fans are thinking he's a very strong contender out here tonight. Now look at this, the gap is closed now as Mike Trader and Brian Lynch are linking up to the back of Ogle's number 11 machine. MacArthur staying linked up behind that 87. It looks like a little bit of a wall tap there. I wonder if MacArthur's doing a bit of fuel saving with lap traffic to help extend his run if he can. Now Brian Glass came in just a few laps later than MacArthur, so I don't think it's going to be much of a tire wear issue. But MacArthur may be content just tucking in behind, having somebody else push the air off the front and just get through the fuel run. Because this fuel run could be extremely important for the guys. If MacArthur can save a bit of fuel, maybe extend that run to closer to 65, 70 laps of fuel, that means he will only have to do one more stop later in the race. Come in early and just don't have the fuel mileage. That's going to leave him about 10 to 15 laps short on fuel towards the end of this thing. MacArthur still clicking off laps. It's Watts, Hill, Hinchcliffe, and Ogle rounding out the top 5. You got about 7 lap drivers in this pack, and then a 2.8 second advantage over Dean Gear, who finds himself kind of in no man's land here, as well as Brian Lynch. Lynch at the tail end of this pack, so Dean Gear 2.9 seconds behind this lead 7 drivers. He's got about a 2.5 second advantage over Joey Buscemi and Knight. So the rest of the field, the mid-pack here, is starting to get a bit separated. Now we do still have 24 drivers on the lead lap. Looks like 28 drivers out of the 30 that started still out there rolling. As we are getting closer and closer to the halfway mark. I'm very interested to see how this fuel mileage breakdown is going to play out for the drivers. I think MacArthur might be in a good spot, having that 87 machine push the air off of him. And as you can tell, it doesn't seem like anybody inside this top 7 really antsy to make any passes at this point. More so just trying to get through the fuel run, grab those fresh tires, and then maybe make something happen. As it looks like Glass going up a little bit higher now through 3 and 4. I wonder if that's the tire fade we were hearing about. Drivers saying it's easy to push the front end kind of up towards the track. And Glass will go another lap now, down now to MacArthur as well as Watts. Looks like Hill's going to work the inside line. An interesting spot to be in. It seems like most drivers are content right in that middle groove. So when they have to work down low, not able to get the speed they're really looking for to make their way around traffic. But we are past the halfway mark here at the Metro Ford Cup Series at the new Atlanta Motor Speedway. And it's still Dwayne MacArthur out front, clicking off laps after gaining 17 positions here tonight. Now there are bonus points at play for the drivers that can gain the most positions during a race, so I'm wondering if that may be part of the decision making out of MacArthur not to qualify. Because you can pick up 1 bonus point for leading 1 or more laps. MacArthur's locked that in. You can get 5 additional bonus points for finishing with a 0x. Another 5 bonus points for winning the race. And it is 3 bonus points for gaining the most positions over the run. MacArthur may be trying to capitalize on points. Amoeba Racing saying MacArthur's leading, that's different. Yeah, MacArthur usually has really good races, or not. Really not a lot of in between for the number 83. Let me pull up his statistics. MacArthur has 17 starts so far this season. His average finish is a little bit better than 4th. So when he does come out and run strong, he's usually towards the front of the field, just about always inside the top 5. He's had a couple of rough races, a 7th at Dover, an 8th at Richmond, a 14th at Las Vegas. So good to see that number 83 machine charging back up front. Now Brian Glass has some sort of problems in pit road. He's taking a tow after leaving the pit, so he's sent back to virtual hauler, I believe. So the 87 machine will unfortunately be done and out for the evening. Now the fuel window is officially open for these drivers. Expecting it to close in the next few laps, so expecting to see MacArthur come down pit road around lap 85 or 86 at the latest. It'll be interesting to see if he can stretch out that run a little bit further after possibly doing some fuel saving. Tony Jennings, John Hastings coming down pit road to signify the first of green flag stops in this run. Plug the live timing tower on the left side of your screen so you can see where your favorite driver is as these pit cycles get ready to work themselves out. Jennings and Hastings roll out of pit road together. MacArthur keeps charging up towards the front. Let's see. Oh no, something happened to Hastings. He goes back to pit road, takes a tow. So something happened to the 32 machine. And surely MacArthur's going to get ready to lead the field down pit road rather shortly. Greg McDaniel comes down pit road. Looks like Buscemi and Brian Lindsay also coming down. The fuel pit stop starting to happen for these guys. The big question is, how long is MacArthur going to stretch it out? Jeff Miller had an off-track excursion, I think, coming down pit road, so he may have had some sort of problems. Let's take a look and see what happened. Showed him with an off-track. I'm not quite sure what happened. It looked like they had it slowed down in time. I just didn't turn in enough. So MacArthur's been out on track since that lap 20 pit stop. 68 laps now. As behind him, it looks like everybody's going to come down pit road, getting it woed up in time. A very busy pit road. We've seen drivers off track. Looks like that was Schrader locking up the brakes. There's Steve Thompson taking an alternative route into pit road. Oh, what is going on here? That might be the roughest pit stop we've ever seen out of these drivers. And more Wininger, Leiden, and Clark opt to stretch out a little bit further. And let's see who may have got penalties here. Looks like it's going to be Kevin Stramber, Clay Walker, Michael McDonald, Steve Thompson are all going to have pit road violations. Having to sit in their stalls a little bit longer. Now that lead pack, Watts will come out on track ahead. As more Wininger Leiden continues stretching the run, Chris Clark comes down pit road. Guys are 71 laps on a tank of gas and stretched it out longer than anybody else for certain. This is going to be interesting because this is going to let us know how far the other drivers can go. I mean, at this point, that means everybody should be good to go on fuel till the end following that stop. So a two-stop race. More Wininger and Leiden all come down pit road together, so I think that's going to put Michael Watts, the number 84 machine, as your new race leader. Dan Hill, Tom Ogle tucked in behind him. So I think that's going to cycle MacArthur back to fifth here. He's behind Mike Schrader. Schrader's 2 seconds back from these top three drivers, what will be the top three drivers. So yes, following the completion of those pit stops, it's going to be Watts, Hill, Ogle, Schrader, MacArthur, your top five. Watts, Hill, and Ogle, I think are going to link up nose to tail, try and put as much of a gap on the rest of the field as they can here, and maybe duke it out closer to the end. They would much rather have it a three-car battle at the end as opposed to the seven-driver battle for the lead we saw earlier on. Watts weaving through traffic. That's Garisco going down low to help facilitate the pass. And if we've whittled it down to 18 drivers on the lead lap, with about 25 still out here racing, I believe. Now we're going to pan back to Mike Schrader, the number 4 machine. He looked like one of those drivers who very narrowly avoided a pit road penalty. MacArthur was in his stalls for 4 seconds longer than those in front of him, so he's definitely got his work cut out for him here. Schrader and MacArthur have closed the gap to a 2.5 seconds now behind Ogle sitting in third. Ogle again tucked in right behind Watts and Hill. These guys know they should have enough fuel to make it comfortably to the end, so it may be a bit of a tire-saving game. That way when the elbows come out late in the race to maybe battle for the lead, if this goes green, and that's always a big if, especially on a newer track for these guys. The driver with a little bit tires left underneath him may be able to challenge for the lead up here. I think Ogle is just going to sit behind Watts and Hill, keep clicking off laps, hoping these guys keep the pace up to try and put some distance onto Schrader and MacArthur. But this could end up being a race of traffic management. The field's stretched out. You got a few packs. You've got Watts, Hill, Ogle, your top three. You've got Schrader and MacArthur linked up 4th and 5th. You've also got Lynch and Jones linked up 6th and 7th. And they have about a 7-second margin over 8th place Dakota Pischke. Pischke's up 18 spots so far tonight. Looking to be our hard charger if this continues. Now Lynch qualified about, he's got a big blink there in the number 9 machine just ahead of Jones. He qualified in the 15th spot, so he's worked his way up to 6th. A very solid night, all things considered. And Lynch, another racer that's just slowly coming to his own. Last week, Lynch got his first podium of the season, finishing 2nd at Kentucky, and even led 5 laps. So definitely getting faster as things progress. Before that, his best finish of the season was a 4th back at Talladega. So a lot of these drivers, we've been calling the action here for Metro Ford Cup Series for over a year and a half. Good to see some of the drivers progressively getting faster and faster, developing their racecraft. Checking back in on Mike Schrader, who has MacArthur linked up right behind him. They have closed the gap to the top 3 now to just slightly over a second. They're running about just about a 10th faster than the top 3 that last time by. So once they catch the draft of Watts, Hill, and Ogle, I think it's going to rapidly allow them to pull themselves up towards the front. And it could very well be a 5-car battle by the time it's all said and done. We've got 47 laps to go. These guys have been clicking them off here. Now some of the fans saying if we get a late race caution to bunch these guys back up, it's going to make things quite exciting. And I don't think you're going to have to wait long as MacArthur makes a move on Schrader, working that number 83 machine back up into 4th, and just like that, it's a 5-car battle for the lead. Here comes MacArthur up the inside line of Ogle, side by side with Hill. MacArthur putting the pressure on early here. 45 laps left to go. The 83 machine working his way back up towards the front. Looks like he's going to have the pass made on Hill, slotting back up top in the high side. And just like that, MacArthur's going to try and go all the way to the front, taking over the race lead and quickly putting a 2/10 gap on both Hill, Ogle, and Watts. The top 5 still shaking up here. And now it's MacArthur, Hill, Ogle, Watts, and Schrader, your top 5. MacArthur got clean air, and he was in a right quick hurry to get it back on the front of that 83 machine. As, that's Dan Hill up in the outside wall. A bit of a bobble for the number 10 machine. He's going to drop back to 4th. Looks like Schrader may try and make the issue. No, he's not going to press it. Now, drivers about 1.3, 1.4 seconds off their fastest laps of the race here, so the tire wear definitely still a factor, in old Atlanta Motor Speedway staple of rough tire wear. But I think now with the new tarmac, I think it's just more forces being used in those tires. It's basically a 1.5 mile super speedway, a lot of wide open racing. But really wedging the cars into the track is now Tom Ogle going to wedge his number 11 machine up the inside line, taking over the race lead from his rival MacArthur. It's Team Miata and Last Ditch Racing running 1 and 2 here. Now Ogle with MacArthur, Watts, Hill, Schrader right behind will have the privilege and the misfortune of being the first driver to cut through traffic here. As you can see, a fair amount of guys right in front of that number 11 machine, and he's still going to have his hands full as MacArthur takes a peek at the inside line into 1. Doesn't quite have the drive he's looking for, but no, MacArthur's going to commit regardless on the inside line through 1 and 2. Ogle run the middle groove. Looks like MacArthur not quite able to get the drive, so he's going to set it up once more into 3 and 4. MacArthur will take back over the race lead. Looks like Watts trying to make an issue of it side by side with Ogle. Ogle riding way up high against the wall. Rocking back down. We saw a brief off-track alert on our live timing software. Not seeing anything following that, so it looks like everybody able to hold on to it here. Because if we get a caution at any point from here on out, it is going to be a rough shootout for the drivers. And I think that's when you can definitely expect some 2-3 wide action. I think what's going to happen here is drivers are going to very carefully pick their spots to try and make passes. And with about 5 laps left to go, everything's going to break loose, and we're going to see a lot of aggressiveness, a lot of gutsy moves from these guys. Like about a pack of 5 drivers in front of your lead pack, your top 5 drivers who linked up nose to tail here. Schrader lags behind ever so slightly. Maybe just to see what these guys are going to do. But up ahead of Tom Ogle, they've got their own battle going on. Excuse me, ahead of Dwayne MacArthur, your race leader. There's another 4 or 5 car group battling out. That's going to be interesting to see how Ogle's going to be. Ogle and MacArthur running 2 and 1 are going to be able to navigate this. I think the next 2 to 3 laps when this lead pack is going to catch most of the traffic, at least the majority of the traffic that's bunched up together. You can see just how much distance these guys are closing. Ogle takes a peek at the inside line. MacArthur closes the door. As Ogle definitely taking a peek every now and then the inside line of the 83. Let MacArthur know, hey, I'm still here and I want the win here tonight at Atlanta. Ogle unfortunately doesn't know where Atlanta is on a map. He called it the Windy City leading into tonight's show. So bless his heart, as we say down here in Georgia, but at least he's got the speed to back it up. Still a 5 lead lap car, Congo line. You've got a little bit of traffic behind Schrader. I'm trying to see who that is tucking in behind the number 4 machine. As Ogle trying some different lines out here behind MacArthur. Taking the data now, that way when he has to maybe try and make a last lap push against the 83 machine, being where that car is going to be comfortable at. MacArthur's still running pretty low. Looks like Ogle run a bit of a more swooping line through the corners. Doing a low-high, low maneuver to carry a little bit more speed, maybe save some tires here. Schrader starting to drop off ever so slightly from these top 4. And so far, we've only had 1 caution tonight. A bit of a surprise at the new Atlanta. Ogle has a big run out of 4. Nowhere to put it, though. Oh, here we go. Ogle takes a peek at the inside line of MacArthur going into 1. They're side by side. MacArthur falls back to 2nd. Ogle takes over the race lead. Watt still in 3rd. And it looks like Ogle still has good drive down the backstretch. Able to hold on to that lead. I thought MacArthur was going to be able to answer on that middle line. Now it's going to be MacArthur's turn. Takes a peek at the inside line. Doesn't quite have the run he's needed as Ogle's put about a 1,500 gap on the number 83 machine. Here comes MacArthur with a big lunge into 3. Will he have the momentum on that inside line, or is Ogle going to be able to hold on to it as they're side by side coming out of 4? Looks like Ogle has the drive still. That middle line's been very dominant early in the run as well as late in the run, it would appear. And now Watts will take over the 2nd place spot. After MacArthur loses a little bit of momentum with that lunge, is Watts going to challenge for the lead here? Yes, Watts throws it in deep through 3. Let's see if he's able to make something happen, but because Ogle has been able to carry so much speed, so much momentum. And yes, Ogle's going to do the same thing. I think MacArthur's going to take advantage. He's going to work his way back up into 2nd, but for how long? As he's going to go side by side with Watts in the 84 machine. MacArthur, a fast learner, hopping on the same line as Ogle. Ogle holds about a 1/1200th of a second advantage. MacArthur closes the gap to less than a tenth down the backstretch. It's going to be 25 to go this time by. And it's a 4-car shootout. Ogle, MacArthur, Watts, and Hill. Hill's just been kind of watching and waiting as the top 3 drivers take their turns with some big lunges. They have put a gap on Schrader. He's about 2.5 seconds back now. who has fallen off the pace slightly, has lost the draft of these top drivers. And I'm surprised. I think with these top four duking it out, really it's been the top three throwing a few shots and jabs at each other. They haven't caught traffic as fast as I would have originally expected. Every time they make those lunges on each other and hop out of formation, it gives the rest of the field a chance to carry some momentum and try and stretch their legs a little bit. It's been about the same distance, I would say, between the race leaders and traffic ahead, about a quarter of a track. As Ogle still sitting out front, MacArthur staying right there on the number 11 machine, making another lunge at the inside line down the backstretch. It's going to be a drag race, and it looks like this time MacArthur is going to have the nose going into 3 and 4. Ogle's going to stay committed to the outside line and working the side draft against the 83 machine. Ooh, Ogle crossing the line almost even. This is a fantastic race between Ogle, the number 11, the pink and white on the high line. MacArthur, the 83, the black and red 83, committed to the low line. Keep an eye out for Michael Watts, the 84 machine. He's going to try and follow along to see where he can work his way up through the field and maybe sneak home a win. And don't forget about Dan Hill, the number 10 machine, qualified on pole. I'm expecting some big moves out of Hill towards the end of this race. Letting the top three drivers burn off a little bit tires, continue going elbow to elbow. And I think Hill's going to try and make something happen here at the end. Ogle holds on to the race lead. MacArthur slots back in behind him. Watt still third. Hill watching and waiting in the fourth place spot. MacArthur gets the credit for the lap led, 400ths of a second. Ogle on the high line. But now Watts lending his draft support to the inside line. The number 83 machine side by side through 1 and 2. MacArthur's got about a bumper on Ogle. A drag race once more. Ogle able to pick up about a 1/10 of a second down the backstretch. And man, oh man, is this some close racing. Ogle leads the lap by 0.03 of a second. But what I think this means is Ogle and MacArthur really measuring each other up, kind of taking notes. And maybe making plans of how this is going to shake down if we can go green all the way till the end. So far, been a very clean race. Dean Gear coming down pit road, the 92 machine, for a final stop of the night. Maybe a bit of an emergency stop. MacArthur again has a nose through 1 and 2. Ogle quickly answers on the high line, carrying just a little bit more momentum, able to really work that side draft against MacArthur. Coming to the line, it's still Ogle by 0.02 of a second. So MacArthur's finding some more speed, and gotta agree with the fan. I think Watts and Hill are just kind of watching and waiting to see what these two are gonna do. Because you know Watts and Hill could quickly catch up and get right back on the bumpers, as MacArthur and Ogle have been too wide for the last 5 laps, it seems. Elbows are out at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Watts takes over the second place spot from MacArthur. Now it's MacArthur's turn to work the inside line. Well, I guess I should say MacArthur's been working the inside line for the last 5, 6, 7 laps. How is this affecting the tire fall off? As Watts and Hill have just been kind of hanging back. Now, we saw some lunges out of Watts earlier on, maybe about 10 laps ago. And after that, for the last 10 laps, he seems to have been content following Ogle and MacArthur. And now it's going to be Watts' turn, up the inside line. What is he going to try and do differently? He's seen MacArthur try and make that inside line work for the last 5, 6, 7 laps. And just like that, Watts is going to fall back to possibly 4th as Dan Hill tucking in behind Ogle and MacArthur on the high line. Is Watts going to try and slot himself up? No, Hill's going to shut the door. And then Watts will have no draft support. He's going to have to fall back in line here. So once again, it's Ogle and MacArthur first and second. Hill has moved up to 3rd as Watts falls back to 4th. These guys have built up a 3.8 second advantage, 3.9 second advantage over Eddie Jones, who has worked his way up inside the top 5. Schrader's falling back to 7th. Now that second pack, 5th through about 9th place, is gaining ground. They're running just about a half second faster per lap, but being over 3.5 seconds back. I wonder if they're going to have time. I don't think they will without a caution. But with how hard Ogle and MacArthur have been duking it back and forth, and now Hill and Watts going to have their own battle. As the top 2 have a bit of a breakaway, you may see those other drivers quickly close the gap and interject themselves into the party. It's going to be 12 laps left to go as Ogle crosses the line. And still anybody's guess on how this is going to break down. And now it looks like traffic may finally become a factor as Watts and Hill go side by side. They don't want to lose too much time here to the top 2. If they lose that draft, it's going to be very tough to make it back up and find themselves in a fighting spot at the end of this thing. Because all the while, 5th place Eddie Jones very quickly closing the gap, now 2.8 seconds back from this battle for 3rd. With 11 laps left to go, is Ogle MacArthur going to catch traffic? Will Hill and Watts be able to close that about 3-car length gap to MacArthur? I think they'll be able to as MacArthur takes a peek at the inside line once more against Ogle. A big hole getting punched in the air. It's Ogle still at the line, but just by a thousandth or 2 of a second. Side by side for the race lead. Ogle and MacArthur coming down the backstretch. 10 laps left to go. Hill and Watts quickly closing the gap. They're going to interject themselves up into the party as Ogle drops down low. And now look at this. MacArthur's going to have his hands full with the likes of Hill and Watts, who know it's time to get going. Ogle has the lead by about 0.12 of a second. MacArthur seems committed to the inside line. And now traffic much more likely to become a factor. As we're on board with Tom Ogle. But let's go on board with MacArthur. Is he going to make a big lunge here? As you can see, the car pack ahead of your race leader right behind MacArthur. Watson Hill still in the fray. Seven laps left to go. Anybody's guess how this is going to shape out still. Any of these four drivers, I would say, have a good chance of bringing home a win here. And I need to check, but I feel fairly certain to say I'm not sure if Watts has picked up a win yet so far this season. I think Hill has. No, Hill still looking for his first win of the season. Watts looking for his first as well in the 84 machine. Traffic going high for the race leader. This may bunch up the top four once more. MacArthur giving a push to Ogle, trying to put some distance on themselves and Watts and Hill. 2 lap cars left for Ogle before he's got clean air again for the number 11 machine. And no time to slow down as that top 4 pack has rapidly bunched up. Ogle takes a peek at the inside line for the 86 machine of Michael McDonald. Nowhere left to go for Ogle. McDonald goes high. The top 4 all tipping down low. 15 drivers still on the lead lap here, and Ogle has his hands full in front and behind. Lynch comes down pit road very late in the race. That's the number 25 of Walker, who's going to try and stay on the lead lap, but with 4 laps left to go, not feeling very optimistic because there's an absolute freight train right behind him. Looks like Walker's going to go high. Helmsley's going to take the pass. The top 4 all going low here. 3 laps left to go. Ogle, MacArthur, Watts, and Hill separated by less than a half a second. 147 laps left in. So far looking clean and green here. Ogle holding on to it with 2 laps left to go. When are we going to see a big move? Now is pretty much the time if MacArthur's going to take a lunge. There comes Dan Hill to fight his way back up on the podium side by side with Watts down the backstretch. Watts, though, has the advantage of the draft courtesy of Ogle and MacArthur up on the high line. Hill still throwing it in deep through 3 and 4. White flag is out here at Atlanta. How's this going to shape out? MacArthur takes a look to the inside line. Hill's going to follow suit. 2 wide and 2 deep for the top 4 drivers. Ogle showing as your race leader by 0.03 of a second down the backstretch. MacArthur going to try and one last big move on the inside line. Ogle up high. MacArthur has the race lead coming down to the wire. It's going to be MacArthur at the end. Who's going to bring home second? It's MacArthur, Hill, and Ogle as they bend it across the line. Actually, they were able to hold on to it. Well done. What a race. MacArthur showing as the race winner. Hill showing second. And Ogle rounding out the top 3. What a nail-biter to start to finish. A fantastic race. A lot of respect there shown amongst the top 4. As they come down for their victory photos. Well done to the top 3, MacArthur, Hill, and Ogle, as well as credit to Michael Watts as well in the 84 machine. A fantastic race amongst those guys. Again, very clean, a lot of respect amongst the drivers. As MacArthur gonna burn it down in style. Man, oh man, what a great race. We're going to try and get our top 3 drivers up here into victory lane. Starting with our good friend Tom Ogle, bringing it home in third, the number 11 machine. Tom led a large portion of the race, still a clean race car, and all in all, a fantastic finish for you guys out there.
Yeah, I kind of knew I was a sitting duck there at the end. I knew that Fitty and he would work together, so I kind of knew I was in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, how is this new car, this new track handling for the drivers? Everybody's saying it was very super Speedway-esque. Is that what you were feeling out of the number 11 machine?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. You might you know, breathe it getting into three, but otherwise you're pretty hard in the gas unless you're back in traffic.
And with the new asphalt in Atlanta, is the tire wear any better than what it used to be, or is it about the same with how much forces you're wedging into the car here with this new banking?
I was at like 80%. So there's tire wear isn't an issue. And if it wasn't loose, you could probably do two tires like you do at Daytona.
Okay, well, Tom, a great race out there. A lot of fun watching and calling the last 20, 30 laps with you and MacArthur elbows out. So, again, a great time for us up here in the booth. Who do you want to give a shout to that helped make tonight possible?
I want to thank you guys for broadcasting, OBRL for putting on a good league, Dwayne for running me clean there most of the time. I love racing with him, so it was a ton of fun, even though you can't win them all. But thanks to everybody that runs the league.
Awesome. Well done, Tom. Hope to have you back up here next week, and always a pleasure, my friend.
Yep, you too.
That was Tom Ogle bringing home a third. Up next, Dan Hill. Welcome back, my friend. What a good race to come back on, finishing a hard-fought second, and seemed like you were just kind of watching and waiting for the perfect opportunity there.
Yeah, buddy. I mean, it's what a lot of this is. It's a lot of wait and see and trying to just position yourself at the right time. I mean, we had a really good group of cars there that kind of just held a really good pace after that pit stop, and it allowed us to kind of sit back, save some gas, and just wait for the end.
Now, with it kind of being a 4-car breakaway there towards the end, were you happy that's how it worked out, or were you wishing there's maybe some more guys up there to make it a little bit tougher for some of the top 2, top 3 drivers?
It's really hard to say. I think I prefer it this way because you're more likely to finish the race in that smaller pack. I think I would have had a better chance of doing something though had it been a little more chaotic. And because when you get in there and you start getting 3 wide and stuff, it really throws a draft off, and you can get some really crazy runs.
Well, now that you're coming back out, finishing strong, what's the plans for the race the rest of the season? We've got New Hampshire coming up, Pocono, India. Are we going to be able to see that number 10 machine back out on track in the usual frequency we've expected?
It's going to be kind of hard. Got some real bad news about my dad the last couple of weeks, and I don't know how much racing I'll have time for over the next few months. But when I can, I'll be out here because this is a great group of guys to run with.
Awesome, Dan. You and your family will be in our thoughts. And do you have anybody you want to give a shout to or say thanks to for tonight's performance?
Yeah, as always, I want to shout out to my wife for just giving me the time to let me get out here and race as much as I can, and then and then my dad. My dad's a big inspiration in my life, and everything that he's going through, I'm going to be there to help him fight it, all the way. So, thanks again.
Awesome, Dan. Always a good time talking to you. Good having you back out here, and congratulations on a great finish.
Thanks, bud.
That was Dan Hill finishing second. But up next, the man, the myth, the legend, the fast Canadian, Dwayne MacArthur. Welcome back after a week or so off, and what a great race amongst you guys in the top 4.
I tell you, James, this field's pretty awesome. This track was a big unknown, and that car was pretty wild out there. So Everybody out there did a real good job. It was an experience for sure.
Now you're talking about the car. We were kind of hearing that the car would want to push up the track as the tire wear come on. But what made the car so tricky and what is effectively a 1.5-mile super speedway?
Honestly, it's the first track I've ever been on. It has every characteristic of bad handling. Like if you're tucked up tight, it would push up the wall. If you were in clean air, it would get loose. You know, just everything. Your car was kind of unpredictable. Even a mile or two difference in speed on corner entry, and you could wash right up. It was there's a lot to learn here. We're all learning, and man, there's so much going on.
Now, I know here at the Metro Ford Cup Series, we run practice sessions throughout the week. How much seat time were the guys, and yourself included, able to get at this new Atlanta to try and prepare for tonight, what was effectively an unknown track for everybody?
Yeah, there was a fair bit of people out at practice. I know last night I didn't make it out Friday, but I think there was as well. I heard a bunch of guys racing in official races like Dan and I think Tom, a bunch of guys. I think Joey even I saw in an official race. I think guys were getting in some laps, but it's just so unpredictable. It's it's a wild track.
I guess my final question for you, Dwayne. We saw the number 83 not qualify. You were close to the hard charger. You gained 17 positions while Dakota Pischke gained 18. Is that a point strategy you're going for to try and maximize points starting at the back, or were you expecting be a little bit more hectic early on in the race?
Yeah, it was just survival. We didn't know what to expect, and we had some pretty glamorous wrecks in the practice race last night. So just wanted to hang back, kind of like a Daytona style, hang back, let a wreck happen if it was going to happen, and see what happened. Worked really hard to just kind of stay on the tail end of that lead draft and not lose it, but not get into any traffic for a little while. So
It was a fantastic race. You top four drivers put on a fantastic show. A lot of fun to watch for both myself and the fans. And Dwayne, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, my friend, the final send-offs of the night. Who you want to give a shout out to that helps make this evening possible?
just everybody that makes this league run, all of the admins, our sponsor, Patrick Milligan, Metro Ford, Chicago, Victory Lane Sports, Kimball. Without our sponsors, without our admins, this doesn't run. And then not only that, without this group of drivers, I mean, the reason we're all here is these drivers are incredible. So it's a privilege to race with them every week, and hopefully you get to do it for a long, long time. And thanks to you, James.
Always my pleasure, my friend. A lot of fun. Dwayne, congratulations, and hope to have you back up here next week.
Thanks, James. You betcha. Great job.
Thank you, sir. And that was Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, finishing on the top spot. Dan Hill finishing second, and Tom Liberace Ogle rounding out the top three. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in, as well as to the racers and the race staff for putting on an amazing show. Couldn't do it without those guys. On behalf of the Metro Ford Cup Series here at the Old Bastards Racing League, my name's been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday afternoon with us, and I look forward to having you back same time, same place next week. Have a great day, everybody.